Hello, you, and welcome back to a Voice of the Vic podcast. I'm your host, Ben Ayton, and welcome back to episode 7 of our new series that we're calling Watford A to Z. Each week, we'll be going through the alphabet to discuss a Watford C topic that's associated with the letter of the week. This week, the letter is G, and we'll take it in turns to give you our Watford FC topics. At the end of the podcast, we'll vote amongst ourselves on who we believe has won this week's topic. If the vote ends on a tie, the host will have a deciding vote. Although last week it was a bit controversial because Joe won for his first ever Watford FC A to Z with the topic that was effing incredible scenes. We've seen a couple of people get a bit upset by saying how can that win when you've basically just put effing in front of the incredible scenes. Bit of controversy last week. Some people saying that Mike should have maybe won, but the votes were tied and I had the deciding vote and I couldn't vote for myself. So Joe did win last week. I wish I could vote for myself. So Forestieri would have done it, but rules are rules. So Joe picked up his first victory last week, which takes the Watford Voice of the Vic A to Z tally to Mike on 2 points, Ben, Cam, Caity, and Joe all on 1. So it's all to play for here. Joining me tonight is Mike. And unfortunately, Caity, Joe, and Cam couldn't make it tonight. So just me and Mike holding the fort together. Mike, I come to you. How are you doing, mate? You all good?
Yeah, very well, thank you. It's good to be back on a pod. I can't remember the last time I was on a live one. I think it was a Swansea game, I want to say. So yeah, it's good to be back on, and I really, really enjoy these letter Gs. And I think G is another one of those where the winner almost picks itself. I mean, I'll let the cat out of the bag straight away. I haven't gone for an obvious choice. So it might upset a few Watford fans. I don't know what everyone else has gone for, but I haven't. And purely because I just don't think I would have been able to do it justice. But I'm looking forward to seeing some of the answers tonight, because even when I don't record them live with yourself, I do listen back to a lot of them. So I really, think that there's been some strong weeks, and I think G is going to be another strong week, and I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone's gone for.
Yeah, no, definitely. It is a strong week. It's a good categories this week. So obviously Caity, Joe, and Cam have sent in their voice notes. So Mike will play the big buttons when it's their turn, so we can listen to them and we'll get involved. And then we'll obviously put it into WhatsApp group and we'll vote amongst ourselves on who will win letter G this week. But yeah, looking forward to it. And like Mike's just alluded to there, he's not obviously gone for the obvious one, and I'm going to let the cat out the bag here as well. No one here has gone for the obvious one, which would be Graham Taylor. Everyone's kind of gone for different ones, and I imagine if anyone has selected Graham Taylor, it would win hands down. But there's still time for someone to select Graham Taylor because it can come under T. I know Mike wouldn't probably select it because he likes to use the G for the first name and not the surname. But T is still available, so we might even see Graham Taylor pop up later on in this podcast. But yeah, fantastic individual and manager. But I'm sure we'll speak about him later on in the series when it gets to letter T. But first, it is actually Joe who's going to start the episode. Well, what am I on about, Mike? I don't normally go straight into us. Let's listen to the viewers. Firstly, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's got involved and submitted their letter G. We've had 22 entries, which is the highest we've ever had. And this is, what is it, the 7th episode? And we're setting a bar each week. We're improving it. So thank you, everyone, for getting involved. We really do appreciate it. And as always, I'm going to read through them all, and me and Mike will discuss them because it's only fair. So Ian Moore via X has selected Filippo Gali. Mike, do you remember much of Gali? I know me and Joe was talking about this in the previous episode because he actually came under F as well. But do you remember much of the Italian centre back?
No, not really. It was at the start of my Watford supporting life, so I don't really remember too much of him. I do remember, if I'm getting I'm not getting confused with someone else. I do remember that he was quite the signing at the time because didn't he play for AC Milan? And
Yeah,
then
that's right.
he, I mean, he was under Vialli, so obviously Vialli's got contacts and to bring a player of that caliber to Watford, considering where he'd played previously, was quite a big scalp for Watford. So I wish I was a little bit older to appreciate the type of player that he was, but unfortunately, I'd just missed out on him. I was a little bit too young, but I'm fully aware of how much of a Rolls Royce of a player he was.
No, definitely. Paul Fiantha Turner on X has said gifted Noel Williams. We've had a couple of shouts for Gifton actually. Again, do you remember much of Gifton, or do you know, you might know a little bit more of Gifton than Filippo Gali?
Yeah, no, a little bit more of Gifton. Again, I was quite young when he was in the team, but I know, he scored a fair few goals for Watford. I also know his lad was on Love Island because Beck watches Love Island, so he was on like 2 seasons ago. I think it was Gifton's. No, I'm thinking of Michael Hyde. Apologies, completely wrong person there. But no, I think his lad's playing football at the moment. That's where I might be a bit confused.
Didn't he play for Kettering?
I was
it
going to
Kettering?
say, I think he does actually.
Yeah.
Um, he's
Because
he's
I
a
remember it was in the FA Cup this year. Someone mentioned Gifton's son's playing, and Tommy Mooney made a good comment about him, or was that right?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I'll make up for my error in confusing him with Micah Hyde, and I'll say that you mentioned Kettering. I actually changed 2 light fittings for a director of Kettering Football Town last Thursday, I want to say. So there we go. If I remembered that, I'd have had a really good chat with him about Gifton's son, but instead we talked about Sordell. So
Sordell's still a decent person to talk about. Jeff Robinson on X is Danny Graham. Oh, we could do with him now. We could do with any fit striker right now. We've already spoken about Danny Graham, so we won't go into him in depth again. You have to go back to listen to letter D because he was selected. Owen via Twitter. I like this one, Mike. Gino out.
yeah, it's relevant and it's a very good one. So yeah, I think that speaks for itself. Fair play, well
No,
done, Owen.
no, definitely. I actually saw this come through yesterday, and I thought, "Cool, can I change mine very quickly?" Because honestly, you'd win hands down with that if you pitch it together. Gino out would be a very good topic to do, and I'm gutted to say that no one's actually selected it here from a Voice of the Vic team. But yeah, very good, Owen. I really do like that. Gareth via X says Guardiola. Now we all obviously remember his thunder bastard away at Arsenal, but maybe the goal that he doesn't get spoken about enough, Mike, is his goal away at Cardiff City.
Yeah, 1-4-2, didn't we?
Yeah, we
Black and
did.
white striped kit. Yeah, I remember it really well. I was going to mention that goal as well. So yeah, brilliant player. And do you know what? He was one of those where he was in the team he was in that promotion season, and I think the signing of him went under the radar a little bit. We kept in the season after for a little bit. That first season in the Prem, I think, didn't play as much because obviously we brought other players in, etc. But he was key for that promotion winning side. And what a signing it turned out to be. So Guardiola is a brilliant shout. I absolutely loved him. And he seems like a top all-round
Yeah.
bloke as well. Whenever it's his birthday, I tend to post on the Voice of the Vic Instagram either a picture or a video of the goal, and he always likes it. So I might have to try and sneak into his DMs and try and get him on the podcast. But yeah, brilliant shout.
He's a top quality player as well. Gave absolutely everything for the shirt. And again, he was the type of player we probably needed at the time, wasn't he? He was championship experience as well. Him along with Ben Watson were brilliant signings, and the assists he had when he joined for us as well. Do you remember that assist he had for Igalo at Derby, where he bent it round
Oh,
the defenders into a box, and Igalo just finished perfectly. But what a way to pass with a ball, and he's had it in his locker. And we went to Millwall away, Mike, and he scored in that game. I think Vidra scored in the first half as well. But
2-0. Yeah.
honestly, what a player! He was
Yeah.
so good, and even Middlesbrough at home comes to mind as well. Did he?
That was
pick up
on.
an
That was
that
such a
try?
pivotal game. I think we won 2-0 or 2-1. That was on Sky, and that was in the running. Obviously, Middlesbrough were in the running for promotion as well. And Iggy scored in front of the Rookery, and then Troy scored in front of the family stand. And I'm pretty sure it was Guediera's ball into the box that allowed Troy to get his shot away.
Yeah,
But yeah, that Derby game, that Middlesbrough game, that Derby game, it was 2-2, and I'm almost certain he definitely scored one. I don't know if he got both. I'm almost certain Tom Ince scored both of Derby's goals that night.
it
But
wouldn't surprise me.
no, it wouldn't surprise me either.
He
But
loves
yeah,
scoring
what a
against
brilliant
Watford.
player, and someone we'd absolutely love right now. A type of player like that.
And did okay in a Watford shirt in the Premier League as well. Didn't get too many appearances, but it also did a shift, and he was very good. And it was nice to see a Palace player come in and actually do pretty well for Watford. Next one, Mike, Steve via X has gone for get rid of Bio.
Yeah, I think, mate, when I saw Andrew French's article saying there is no, it doesn't sound like there's any truth in the bringing Bio back next season. I hadn't even heard that we were
No, neither.
possibly going to do that. So me and the rest of Hertfordshire, I think, breathed a huge sigh of relief when we read that because, yeah, listen, if we. I don't want to say this, I really don't, but if Tom's really serious about this very minuscule chance of us getting playoffs, then we just cannot play a player up front in Bio. But full stop. I could end the sentence there, but especially because he's not going to be with us next season.
No.
So what's to say that he gives a rat's ass? So yeah, we could do a whole podcast on the topic get rid of Bio. So yeah, another brilliant shout there. The listeners are pulling it out of the bag tonight, aren't they?
Exactly, and we had this a couple of weeks ago as well when we was looking for letter E, and someone said elephant shit. Watford's first half against Millwall, and this is what I love about everyone getting involved and interacting because you just don't know what you're going to get. The next one is George White on via X. He says Gino, Steve Cooper, who's put something else in previous weeks via X. He's gone for we aren't allowed to say the G word, relating to Watford fans getting told off for use of a G word against Luton Town. I'll let you guys figure out what that word is, just in case we get banning orders. The next one, no one on this podcast will remember, not even Joe. None of us was born, but out of respect, we're going to talk about it. Catherine Pettifer via X says Terry Garbutt's goal against Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final in 1970. You remember that one, Mike?
I actually the other day, did you say it was the Arsenal game?
Chelsea game.
Chelsea game? No, no, I don't remember that one. I thought you said the Arsenal game because when I did the FA Cup last week, the old man texted and said how much of a good shout it was, and then he also said about the Arsenal game because I read out some stats about us getting to quarters. An Arsenal game was in that, and we beat them. And he said how crazy a game it was. So I actually went and watched the highlights from that game. And funnily enough, it was Pete from Do Not Scratch Your Eyes. He used to do like almost a lot match of the day for old Watford highlights.
I've seen them, yeah.
And I watched that game. So I thought that's the game he was on about. And I was going to say, yeah, I remember. But no, I don't remember that goal against Chelsea, unfortunately. But yeah, still a good shout.
We might have to look it up just to see because,
Yes.
if Catherine's mentioning it, it must be some kind of goal. But yeah, Ian Moore via X says it's back again and says Graham Taylor. Oh, that's my comment saying he's back again because he's already selected Filippo Gali. So Ian Moore is back again and he says Graham Taylor.
Yeah, I
Of
mean,
course, the great man, Graham Taylor.
yeah.
Tom Glenster via Facebook says, Gifton, what a player on his day. Jess Bishop via Facebook. I know she's watching tonight. And for everyone who's listening back to this on audio or YouTube, we are currently live on Facebook. And I can see that Jess is already in the comments. So thank you for watching tonight, Jess. So she's actually submitted two. Her first one is Gino spends all our cash. And her second one, Mike, is Jeretta's embarrassing butterfly moment.
Yeah, you can always rely on Jess for a comedic answer, just like the one she's put in the chat tonight already.
Yeah, I'm not too sure I'm going to read that one out. I quite like it on
Yeah,
this podcast not being cancelled, but I
but
appreciate
yeah,
the message.
I
Do you remember that evening when the whole butterfly scene came about, Mike?
I do indeed. Yeah, yeah, I remember me hammering him for it on a podcast as well recently. I can't remember. I think it was Under the Kosh. He made a comment about it, so that was quite funny. But yeah, not the wisest move from Jaretta, but then again, it's all sort of hysterics at the top level at the moment with Watford, so it probably quite fitting.
It's the one thing he's remembered by at Watford
Yeah,
Football Club, which shows that his tenure was awful.
yeah.
Next one, Gary Armstrong via Facebook says Graham Taylor. Honestly, we've got so many people who have selected Graham Taylor. And there's a couple of people that have suggested some topics that we're actually going to talk about tonight. So I'm not going to mention them yet. Mark Smart via Facebook, obviously, Mike and Cam's dad. He says, obviously, whoever gets Graham Taylor wins, but please do him justice. It was much more. It was the man as much as the manager, just such a wonderful human being. And like I said, unfortunately, no one's actually selected Graham Taylor here. But yeah, there's undoubtedly that he was a fantastic man and manager, but more importantly, man, for what he did on and off the scenes for the football club and for supporters and players in itself. So, but also, like I said, we could probably select him still for Taylor. So probably watch his space is all I'll say. But Mike also says, anyway, besides that, ghost goal. Mike, remember Reading at home?
Yeah, I will never forgive Stuart Atwell for that ludicrous. I mean, I still you see it pop up on Twitter nowadays because second tier podcasts like to put a lot of stuff out and they like to recycle the absolute hell out of that clip. And you watch it back and like all these years later, you almost sort of watch it back to be like, right, okay, well, let's actually analyse it closely. Is there any stage where it looks remotely like it's gone? And you just watch it back and you're like, I genuinely don't know. Like, I don't even know at what point they think the ball's crossed the line. Like, it hit the bar and then it bounced on the floor, but he thought it had gone in before that. And it's like, I don't, it's all a load of convoluted mess. So, yeah, the less said about that, the better. But yeah, luckily, I don't think we ended up losing that game. I think we ended up drawing. So at least it didn't go down as too much of a blemish on our record. But yeah, still typical to happen to Watford. If it's going to happen to anyone, it'll happen to us. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anything like that has happened to another club.
I think there was an incident. I want to say Wrexham when they were before all the money and the fame. They had a shot go, or they conceded a shot, and it hit the side netting. But there was a sizable hole in the side netting, so it then went into the goal, and the goal was given against them, or it was the other way round, and the ball went in the goal but come out the side netting, and then the referee give a corner or goal kick. So yeah, something similar, but in terms of the absolute ludicrousness of our one, no, nothing like that whatsoever has happened since. But I think similar has happened in the respect of it's gone in and then gone out, and the ref's given a goal, or vice versa. So yeah.
What a moment at Vicarage Road. Angela Snelling via Facebook says goals. Sean Lilly via Facebook says goals as well. On the assumption Bio will be going back to Udinese at the end of the season, has the club got a short list of strikers ready to attempt to buy when the transfer window opens in June? We have no squad depth in the striker position. And this is what I mentioned in the pod at the weekend, Mike. You was obviously listening to it. And this is one of my worries going into next season, that we've only basically got Doumbia, and there's not much planning behind the scenes that we're aware of anyway. But so to be going into pre-season with just one recognised striker is very concerning.
There was a chap who was linked with us today. I think the Watford Way tweeted it, and you'll be no surprise to learn that he would go to Udinese first. He would sign for them and then join us. But again, it's another one of these where you've never really heard of him. He's not really got experience. I've just found the tweet here. So we've been linked with Holstein's Kiel's Nicholas Niehoff. Niehoff would sign for Udinese before being loaned to Watford for the 25-26 season. He's made 28 appearances in all competitions, chipping in with 2 goals and 8 assists. Now, I really hope he's not a striker with stats like that. But yes, it does worry you, the fact that we've only got Doumbia going in to next season. Possibly, would he maybe be looking at Amin Nabizada as well? I wouldn't be against that. But ultimately, we do need an actual, number 9 who's been there and done it. And granted, they're not as free on the market. Otherwise, everyone would be in for that player. But we do need to recruit in that area along with many other areas. So yes, the summer's going to be an interesting one. And yeah, I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it, because I think we've got enough to maybe worry about at the moment than what's going to happen in the summer. Let's get there first and see what division we're in, eh?
Oh God. Yeah, you're still excited about it. You're getting excited about Wembley, aren't you? So am I booking that hotel or what? But yeah,
I don't know, man. It's just the fact that only Watford could go on this disastrous run and somehow end up closer to the playoffs. Like we drew with the bottom team on Saturday, right? I watched it and it was absolutely diabolical. And Plymouth have only scored 8 goals away from home all season. They've conceded 70 yards. Everything was stacked against them, and we somehow managed to give them a clean sheet. Yes, whilst maintaining one ourselves, but still. And every result went for us, which makes it even more frustrating. But we still somehow ended up closer to the playoffs because of other results. So, I don't know. There'll always be that small part of me that is like, as long as it's still, mathematically possible. Yes, goal difference is a big thing. And yes, the fact that we are, we're not exactly ticking at the moment, that they are quite big factors. But until it's mathematically possible, like I say, that small part of me will still believe. More for me.
Yeah, so depending what division we're in, it's going to be a busy summer at Watford Football Club, basically. And lastly, young Ned Young by Instagram this time. If only we had someone called Graham associated with the club in some kind of way. So yeah, obviously relating to Graham Taylor again. So if the fans have voted, it would have been Graham Taylor to win the Voices of Vic letter G. But yeah, like I said, we haven't picked him. We've gone for a little bit. We didn't want to go for the obvious choice. And it'll be interesting for you guys to hear who we've selected. And I think it's a really strong one. I think it's the strongest week that we've had here. And we've had strong weeks already. So get yourself ready. Obviously, Joe won last week. And in typical Voices of Vic fashion, the winner always goes first. So, Mike, can you please press the play button and reveal what Joe has selected for his letter G?
Yep, here we go.
So my G is for grassroots. grassroots at Watford FC is something that we can say we have definitely been proud of over the last, well, as long as I've been supporting Watford for the last 3 decades. There are many players that have come through our academy and gone on to succeed and do great things. Players off the top of my head, I can think of Robert Page, came through, GT brought him through, and he was Watford captain, went on to bigger and better things, gone on to be a manager and Wales manager as well, I might add, which is fantastic. We've got Paul Robinson, who obviously has gone away, he was a club legend during his time at Watford, well loved, left unfortunately due to sad circumstances because the club needed money, has come back to be part of the coaching setup, which is fantastic, and everyone's obviously been delighted to have him back at the club. Lloyd Doyley as well, the same, fantastic Watford career. Another player that's come back. Got other people like Marvin Sordell, Gifton Noel Williams, Ashley Young, the list goes on. Adrian Mariappa. I could literally talk all night about how good we've been at bringing players through the academy, but I think it's definitely something that we can say we've been proud of. I think if I remember rightly, I'm going to potentially get this wrong maybe, but I think we've produced into 3 figures for players coming through the academy, which is just like fantastic. Players that have gone on to do bigger and better things. Luke O'Nien as well, I can think of, who's gone on to do really well at Sunderland, potentially on the verge of getting promotion. Always loves a goal against us and to play well against us now these days, doesn't he? I think Scott Loach is another one. Went on to get included in the England squad on one occasion. Obviously, like I say, just going back to Gifton Noel Williams, I remember being at his debut when he scored against Blackpool. I think it was in 1996 or 97. I think it was 96, in February 96. Superb player. But yeah, grassroots, Watford Academy players, that is my G.
Fantastic from Joe. Strong category. What do you make of G for grassroots there, Mike?
Do you know what? I really, really like that pick. It completely threw me when I saw the slide pop up in front of me. I just saw Ashley Young. I didn't actually read the bottom bit. I was listening as opposed to reading it. So I was like, "What's he gone with here?" But no, really, really solid pick, and he's absolutely spot on with some of them names. And I think this is maybe a slight on Pozzo's hands. I think we're seeing it at the moment more because it's maybe enforced because of the lack of squad players we've got. But before the Pozzos, that's what this club was about. It was about bringing the youngsters through and playing them. Some worked, some didn't. Matty Witchelo, I remember him. There was a lad called, was it Matty Bryan? Funny Bryan, same type of year. I think it was Brian anyway, unless I've completely made that up. So, we were a team that was sort of proud of bringing players through and then selling them on. And that is a good model to have. Look at Southampton. They've made an absolute killing from it, mainly to Liverpool. But still, the academy that the players that they produced, and I think it definitely needs to be said as well at the moment. We've obviously got a lot of young players coming through and some that are tipped to do well. We're not even elite academy anymore compared to, in terms of the ratings. We're through to the FA Youth Cup semi-final against Man City and with the only non-elite team left in the competition. And I think that was the case at the quarter-final stage as well. Or it might have been because we beat Southampton, we were the only non-elite. So, it tells you that Watford, for such a small team, which we are, the academy is not to be sniffed at whatsoever. So I'm really, really impressed with that shout. That is a brilliant shout. And he's done really well there, considering he won maybe on a bit of a technicality last week. He's done really well to pull it out the bag, and he's made a really strong case because, I'm a big fan of that. So, Joe, if you listen back to this, well done, mate. That was a great one.
No, it's a good pick from Joe, and yeah, he might have ruffled a few feathers last week with his topics, but he's came back strong this week, and you might even get some people going, hang on. G for grassroots. You're talking about academy players, but you got to think that these academy players have always probably started off at small, like local teams that then get picked up by Watford and then come through the academy. So it is all grassroots. And Jess Bishop says last night she went to the fans forum. She says grassroots was heavily discussed last night at the forum. So it is a big part of Watford Football Club is grassroots and finding these local talented players that then come through the Watford Academy, and yeah, there's been so many of them during the spell at the club, and what us supporting the club, like Tommy Smith, for example, like a local lad from Hemel Hempstead who's came through. Luke O'Nine's a great example as well, of someone who's kicked on and is a consistent championship player, and it's like Ashley Young, Jadon Sancho, Ashley Young. We've had so many really good, high caliber players come through the football club, and it got, like you just mentioned, Mike. We're in the semi-finals of the FA Youth Cup now, with the only side who don't have an elite academy, and that's just a credit to Watford Football Club and the coaches there, especially Richard Johnson and Jimmy Milligan.
Gilligan. They're both the headed up, don't they? And then Matty Bevan, who used to play for us, he's the manager. Charlie Daniels, Lloyd Doyley, Maps is doing his coaching badges or doing coaching at the club as well. So yeah, brilliant.
It's just like I said, it's a credit to the football club. The talent that's coming through now is brilliant, outstanding. Like, I watched the FA Youth Cup a couple of years ago, Watford against Arsenal, and there was one player on the pitch who was so much better than everyone else, and Watford was on the losing side. But the young player was Harry Amos of Watford, the left back, and he ended up getting picked up by Manchester United the following summer, and he made his debut for Manchester United last month away at Leicester in the Premier League, and he's only 18 now. And it just goes to show that Watford keep consistently producing young players, although they might not be in playing for Watford, they'll go on and have decent careers. And Jess has just said here, wasn't Saka in our academy? Bukayo Saka was also a Watford academy. So it just goes to show there's so many decent players here.
So was Harry Kane, very briefly.
So yeah, great topic there, Joe. Off to a solid start tonight. So thank you very much, Joe. But yeah, that Joe's G is for grassroots. Right, so next up is no other than my good old friend Mike and co-host and co-founder of the Voice of the Vic. Take us away with your letter G, Mike.
Thank you very much. Yes, so I wrote this today. Well, I wrote this about an hour ago before we started recording. So my G is for no other than Mr. Gianfranco Zola. Yes, that is correct. He was appointed Watford manager on the 8th of July 2012. And for those that remember that time, it was quite controversial to the Watford fans at the time, because if you remember, we just had our best finish, our highest finish, easy for me to say, in the Championship, thanks to Sean Dyche. And that season was, that was what we want now, a team of not necessarily the best players in the league, but a team that pulled their weight and fought for the badge, and there was that real togetherness. And we weren't expecting miracles, but the next season we thought, well, that season we've just had with Dyche, it's something to build on. Let's see what can happen. Maybe they'll invest, etc., etc. Well, that all come to a grinding halt, because in that summer, obviously, the Potsos took over, and a number of things happened. So, obviously, one of the first things I remember was the signing of Tom Heaton, the goalkeeper, got cancelled because Sean Dyche was going to bring him in, and instead he obviously then went to Burnley, where Sean Dyche went, and he Gianfranco Zola was appointed, as I say, on the 8th of July, and they brought in Noah and his arc with all the signings from Udinese as well. But Zola was a legend of the game. Well, is a legend of the game as a player. In terms of management, though, he'd only managed once prior to taking on the Watford job, and that was with West Ham. He had a stint from September 2008 to May 2010, and he managed 81 games, which still to this day stands as his longest ever job, or his most games he's taken charge of. 81 games, as I say, with a rate of 1.11 points per game. So not exactly screaming brilliant. And we're all a bit like, that's great. Zola, Italian owners, they obviously know him. We're going to bring a load of Italian players in. This could work to some extent. And I think I've not got a massive, speech about his time at Watford. It's more a case of sort of praising him for the work that he did, because considering the amount of players that we brought in from Udinese, whether it was on loan or permanent or what, to do what he did with that squad at his helm, because it would have been at times so challenging to fit players here, fit players there. Don't forget about the whole Troy Deeney saga. He was coming back from prison. They didn't know who he was. We've heard it all on podcasts before. So to do what he did with that squad, to guide us to the playoffs in his first season as Watford manager, it was an achievement within itself because of the amount of players we had come in. And I still stand to this. Zola had us playing some of the best, if not if it's not the best, it's some of the best football that I have ever witnessed, style of play-wise, as a Watford fan. Yes, Javi Gracia was absolutely fantastic and he did brilliant things for the club. But in terms of an actual style and identity, you knew what you were getting from Zola's Watford. So that will always stick out in my mind. And I think it's even more obvious to see now we see the style of football that we do, compare that to free, one-touch stuff. It was really, really something else, and it was brilliant. And just I want to sort of lastly finish on a few games under Zola's tenure as Watford manager that stick out in my mind for personal reasons. You've got the 4-0 at home to Blackburn. These won't be in chronological order, by the way. I just pulled some of these out earlier. So you might be like, why has he mentioned that before that? But yeah, 4-0 to Blackburn at home. I remember it so well. I want to even say it was possibly on BBC, but it was definitely on TV. I remember Alman Abdi scoring. We were absolutely unbelievable that day. We did not put a foot wrong. Like I say, Alman Abdi scored, Troy Deeney scored. Don't know who got the others, but we were sublime that game. If only Joe was here, because Joe would be able to tell you who was started where, what minute the goals were in, etc., etc. 4-0 away to Birmingham City. That was under Zola. What an away day that was. Absolutely unbelievable. For me, obviously, that's going to go down as one of my favourite ever games. And I got the bragging rights, that one. 6-1 away to Leeds. It's always good beating Leeds, especially when Neil Warnock's in the dugout for Leeds United. That was good old fun. We absolutely dismantled them. 4-0 at home to Huddersfield in the snow. That Patocchio goal, need to say any more? Probably not. That sums up the style of football that we had on show under Zola. 6-1 at home to Bournemouth. And this one sticks out in my mind because we had a bit of a rivalry with Bournemouth at the time. So to wallop them 6-1 at home was brilliant. That was also the first season that I started attending games on my own. 1-0 away at Birmingham as well. Again, you might be like, oh, well, it was only 1-0, but it was away at Birmingham, so tick that one off. I met the man to the side of me for the first ever time at that one as well, so that will always stick out in my mind. And then 5-1 away at Barnsley. Akechi Anya running down the wing, anyone?
Beep, beep.
Yeah, exactly. So there we go, 5-1 away at Barnsley to wrap up the memorable results. So all in all, Gianfranco Zola managed Watford 75 times, winning 33, drawing 15, losing 27, therefore picking up 114 points and having a points per game ratio of 1.52, which to this day is still the highest PPG of his managerial career. So yeah, G is for Gianfranco Zola.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mike. That's outstanding. Also, you've made it very difficult now when it gets to the letter Z, because that would have been one for everyone to select. So he's probably got one up his sleeve and he's trying to make it difficult for everyone else now. But yeah, what a pick. What a guy. What a player in his time for Chelsea, and what a manager for Watford Football Club. I remember that time supporting Watford. Obviously, there was a lot of uncertainty under Lawrence Bassini. We didn't know whether there was going to be a club for much longer. And then the news coming about that there's possible investment and a takeover. And I remember Gianfranco Zola being appointed Watford manager after the Pozzos took over. And I remember the press conference, and I was absolutely buzzing. And Watford got took over by these Italians. We didn't really know much about unless you followed Italian football, and a big name like Gianfranco Zola coming in to manage little old Watford, and it was the hype of a town. It was, everyone was buzzing, and then you saw all of the signings that followed, and it was a hectic summer of pre-season and the end of a transfer window. I think the last day of a transfer window, Mike, didn't we play like Derby County away or something, or the day before or the day after, and we signed like 6 players or something, and they all had like their debut, and like it was very chaotic. But he, like you said, he got on with it and he used it to his advantage, and he got Watford to a playoff final in his first season in charge. And like Mike also alluded to, it was the best football that I've ever seen us play at Watford. It was so entertaining. It was a 3-5-2, wasn't it, Mike? The 3 centre backs. You had your wing backs up high, and then obviously you had your 2 up top, and it just worked for us. And because of the foreign players coming in, we didn't really see many of those in the Championship back then. But they all gelled because they had the connections of Udinese, and no one saw anything like this before. And it was, a lot of teams didn't like it, especially people like Ian Holloway at Crystal Palace. And the loophole clause got brought in the end because of the amount of signings Watford brought in from Udinese. But like, you could make all these signings, but you had to get them to all work together and fit into a system, and that's all down to Gianfranco. And he was just an amazing guy, and I love him. I love this song as well. What was it? Gianfranco, oh,
Yeah.
Gianfranco, oh, he's only 5'4". He comes from it. Was it? He comes from Italy.
He's only 5'3". He comes from Italy.
Yeah, that was it. What
Yeah.
what a tune. And yeah, I absolutely love him, and that's a solid pick, Mike. Well done. So yeah, he might be on his way for his 3rd victory of the Voice of Vic A to Z with his letters G of Gianfranco Zola. He's got his fingers crossed, but with plenty more people to come to pitch their topics. But let us know in the comment section on who you think's doing well tonight, who you think should be getting the votes as well. Be interesting to see what you are warming up to so far. Mike, next up is Caity, another strong category here, and she's gone for another former Watford manager. I wonder who this is going to be. Mike, can you press your big button?
Here we go.
Hey guys, sorry that I couldn't make the pod. Hope it's all going well and you guys are having a great time chatting about our letter G. I have gone for my letter G. I have gone for Javi Gracia. hopefully this counts, because obviously you could argue, last name, first name. But Ben has approved it, so there we go. Now, I'm sure if you asked any Watford fan what they thought of Javi Gracia, it would only be good memories. He's one of my favourite managers. Probably he is my favourite manager, aside, Tom Cleverley, who has managed Watford. He gave us and me some of the best seasons of supporting Watford. I'm not old enough to remember the days before when we were good. So for me, the biggest memory I have of us being a good team comes from the era under Javi. The players that we had at that time, plus having him as manager, honestly, was just... I remember thinking, football is so great. Not really experienced any downsides. I thought we were the best club ever. I thought we were so good. And obviously, it did come to an end. But I'm pretty sure he was here for 4 years, or maybe it was less. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But he gave us our best finish in the Premier League, an FA Cup final, great results throughout. We will never forget that FA Cup run ever. I mean, we talk about it. I talk about it constantly, daily, to whoever I can. He was just such a special manager to me. And I think as well, it really got me into football. Obviously, it's great because you're winning a lot, but the style that we used to play under him, the flexibility, everything that we had was just it was just perfect, genuinely. He's a huge part of I would even say he is a huge part of our history, and will continue to be one of the greatest managers that we had. People were comparing him to GT. That's what he was. He was so special to Watford fans, and I would say that he was very special to me. He gave me that love for football that I will always be grateful to him for, and I would have kept him for longer. I would have loved to have seen him stay on and do well, but all good things come to an end, and that's what did eventually happen. But no one would ever look back and think about the negatives, only the positives for Javi Gracia. So that's why he is my letter G.
This is what I mean, everyone. It's a solid week here. We've had grassroots, we've had Gianfranco Zola, and now we've got Javi Gracia. Javi Gracia, he drinks sangria. What a man. Another quality song. I think we've had decent songs for managers, especially the ones we felt connections for. Everyone else we don't really care about don't get a song, but whenever we do get one, it really rings really well throughout the stands. But yeah, Gracia, Mike, he will go down in Watford memories for a long time for the work he did for Watford Football Club in that FA Cup run to the final. The togetherness he brought to the football club, the style of football wasn't as pretty on the eye as Zola, but he got them to perform as a team and left absolutely everything on the pitch. It was more 4-4-2, wasn't it, really? Because he had Hughesy out on the left, who was a centre midfielder, but he was playing left midfield, and it was about keeping it compact and making sure that you do your jobs. And he made sure that everyone on that pitch did their jobs. But during that time, we had some quality players like Caity just alluded to, Roberto Pereira, Abdoulaye Doucouré, Etienne Capoue, Troy Deeney, and those players were outstanding, and that's why we probably did so well and was so successful as well. But he obviously took over from Marco Silva as well, and it was always going to be tricky because Watford started the season very well. It tailed off with Marco Silva, and it could have easily carried on tailing off, and Watford could have really struggled that season, but he came in and had an instant impact and finished the season well. And then the start of next season did even better, got us our highest ever finish in the Premier League, an FA Cup final. Honestly, this guy is just outstanding. A fantastic man, a fantastic manager, a fantastic pick from Caity. Mike, what's your thoughts on Javi Gracia?
Yeah, brilliant manager, and a few memories, personal memories of mine. I remember his first game in charge, 4-1 at home to Chelsea. It was my first day as at one of my old jobs that day as well. So I had the nervousness of starting a new job, but then I thought, in the back of my mind, well, I'll get through today and can watch Watford play tonight. So the every cloud and whatnot, and it was a good day in my new job. And then that evening we go and dismantle Chelsea 4-1. I think Daryl Janmaat doing what he always does, scoring against Chelsea. That was a brilliant result. And then the next season, not really knowing what to expect. I remember I was in Lanzarote for the first game of the season, which I think was Brighton at home, because then the next season our first home game was Brighton, and we won 2-0. And Roberto Pereira scored from a corner come in, and then he pretty much volleyed it and then did the baby shark celebration. And I found the bar in Lanzarote, and it's still there to this day. And I went in a couple of days before, Watford shirt on, and I was like, "Will you show the game?" And he was like, "Yeah, no problem." And I went in there, and there was someone with a Brighton and Hove Albion cap. And I sat on the table next to him, and I thought, at the end of the day, at the end of this game, one of us is going to be severely disappointed. And luckily, it was a gentleman with his cap, and it was a very happy holiday for me. So yeah, some brilliant memories under Javi, and yeah, just times that like a lot of my Villa supporting mates are going through brilliant times at the moment. With their clubs. Leicester City have had equally the same time. I know a few Leicester fans. Nottingham Forest are going through some very good times at the moment. So we've been very lucky to experience, our team punching above its weight in the Premier League, getting to an FA Cup final. We won't mention the final result again. But, some brilliant times for this football club. And hopefully we'll be back in the promised land one day, performing at that level again.
No, definitely fantastic memories from the season and a half. But he probably had like 2 seasons at Watford. If you count the half of a season he took over, and then no, it wasn't 2 seasons, was it? He only got like 3-4 games at the start of the next season. Unfairly dismissed, Mike, would you say?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think did we lose or draw to Newcastle, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back, I think. And there was a lot of unrest, and I mean we've since found out hindsight's a beautiful thing. Obviously, a lot of it is to do with this bonus that they were almost promised that wasn't paid out, and that's not going to sit well with professional footballers. So maybe he was sort of led down the garden path a little bit, and the odds were stacked against him. But yeah, gutted that he went. And yeah, I think I saw Jess say there were rumours of him returning recently. I don't know if that'd be such a good thing. I think, like Sanchez Flores, leave it. Like, don't bring them back for a second return, because it doesn't always work out well. So yeah, it was gutted to see him leave, and gutted equally as well to see him not do as well at Leeds United, because I know a Leeds United fan, and he when he got appointed, I was raving about him, and I said, "Oh, you're going to be okay. He's a brilliant guy." Just didn't work out for him. So yeah, interesting.
No, definitely. Sometimes managers or players just don't work out for certain clubs, and him and Leeds United just didn't really work, and it's a shame to see. But equally, I would have wanted him to do better at Watford than what he would have done at Leeds, and that's what he's done. So, fantastic guy, fantastic manager, will forever be in our hearts for that FA Cup run that he had with us. And yeah, great pick from Caity. It's a strong week. I keep banging on about it, and I'm hoping that I can continue the trend now, because it's my category next, and I want to say I've gone for another strong one, and I'm hoping you guys agree. My category is Aurelio Gomez, the Brazilian goalkeeper. And look, at first, when we signed him, that's a big signing for Watford Football Club. He played Champions League football for PSV Eindhoven. He moved to Spurs for a big money fee. Yes, okay, it didn't work out at Spurs, but it's still a high caliber goalkeeper. He had a difficult spell at Tottenham. His contract ran out. He was a free agent. We literally just lost Manuel Munya. He was our goalkeeper for a couple of seasons, did a decent job in between the sticks for us. But we needed to find a new goalkeeper and an experienced goalkeeper. And I don't think you can find better experienced goalkeepers than the high caliber goalkeeper in Aurelio Gomez that Watford found. What a fantastic signing, a free transfer. And oh my God, what a guy on and off the pitch. And what a player. For me, one of the best goalkeepers I've seen in a Watford shirt. We'll have a debate about goalkeepers a little bit later on. But yeah, after a few difficult seasons at Tottenham, Gomez joined Watford on a free transfer and signed a 1-year deal in 2014. In his first season with the club, Gomez made a massive impact by keeping 15 clean sheets in 44 games as he helped the Hornets gain automatic promotion to the Premier League. Gomez went on to sign a new 3-year contract in the summer. During the 2015-16 season, he played in all 38 Premier League games and went on to win the Player of the Season award. And check this out, guys. He kept 11 clean sheets in the Premier League for Watford that season, which is absolutely incredible for a newly promoted side. During that season as well, he also saved 2 penalties in the same game against the same player, Sado Berahino, as Watford won 1-0 away at West Bromwich Albion. In 2016-17 season, he started every single Premier League game as Watford retained their place in the Premier League. In 2018-19 season, it got more difficult for Gomez. Watford signed Ben Foster from West Bromwich Albion, which resulted in Gomez not making a single Premier League appearance. However, he was selected as our FA Cup goalkeeper and played a big part in the side as they got to the FA Cup final. He was also the first goalkeeper I've ever known to celebrate a goal like he scored them. The amount of times he celebrated where the ball went in the back of the net and he just fist pumped the air by jumping as high as he could, but also running towards the fans as he did it. Like he proper wanted to get involved, and he felt every single goal that went in at Vicarage Road or whatever away game that Watford were playing in at those times, and I absolutely loved him. Not only was he a top class goalkeeper, but he was a much loved bloke as well. He was a pure fans' favourite. During his spell at Vicarage Road, he made 160 appearances, which is more than any other club that he played for in his long career. And he played for some big sides as well. And during those 160 appearances, he kept 46 clean sheets. And when you think of Gomez, you probably think he like you'd back him in penalty saves. And looking at his spell at Watford, he only managed to save 4 penalties, and the 4 penalties were 2 against West Brom with Berahino. He also saved a penalty against Glenn Murray when Watford played Bournemouth, and also Christian Benteke. He saved his penalty when the Hornets played Crystal Palace. But overall, a fantastic signing for Watford Football Club, a great servant, a club captain as well. But yeah, he just goes down for me as a Watford legend. So for me, my letter G is Aurelio Gomez. Mike, what did you make of Aurelio Gomez? Did you love the signing when we made him? Signed him in Spurs? Was he one of those thinking, could he still do it for us? Because obviously he had a difficult spell at Spurs. What's your thoughts on him?
Well, great pick, firstly. Well done. Very, very solid. Another good one. But yeah, when we first signed him, I always remember, I think Jess alluded to it there, Gomez, shit for Spurs, great for Watford. And I'll never forget the amount of times that like he was a calamity for Spurs. Like, you know, I seem to remember there was one thing where I think a cross come in, he went to catch it, but he missed it and it hit him on his head. And, you know, he was a bit of a laughing stock at Spurs, and that does sit in the back of your mind. But I must admit, you know, around that time, in terms of the signing of goalkeepers, we generally got it, you know, quite okay. You know, Almunia was brilliant for us in the Championship, and then to follow it up with Aurelio Gomez was even better, because what a servant he was. And I thought you were going to say he was the only goalkeeper that you remember who wore a gum shield. But you actually said he celebrated goals like he'd scored them. And who can forget that triple save away at Bolton as well? What a save! I remember a double save at home to West Ham in the Premier League as well. I was at that game. I think we ended up going out that night. We went to Oceania. We ended up the night there. And some absolutely brilliant memories of Gomez. And he won us a lot of points. And the fact that he got 11 clean sheets for Watford in the Premier League speaks volumes. And I'm just glad that 2018-19 FA Cup run resulted in Gomez playing every single game in the FA Cup that season, because there's a lot that, a lot of people have a lot of views on whether you should have a cup goalkeeper or whether it's right to, whether you just play your best team. And, I've known managers play a cup goalkeeper right up until the final and then they switch them out. So, I'm just glad he got that as his sort of final goodbye for Watford. But, what a guy and what a player he was. Brilliant pick, Ben.
And you can remember how emotional he got as well when Watford beat Crystal Palace in the quarterfinals as well, because I think at that point he announced that he was retiring at the end of the season. He was leaving Watford Football Club, and the relief on his face to know that he still got more games to play for Watford Football Club, because he wasn't first choice goalkeepers anymore. But equally, he was going to be playing at Wembley. And that's the main thing, was that he got an opportunity to play on the big stage, and it was for semi-finals, and then went on to play in the final. He's a great servant, a great guy, and I just absolutely loved him as a goalkeeper. Throwing it out there, Mike, we've had some really good goalkeepers whilst we've been supporting Watford Football Club. I know your favourite goalkeeper is Alec Chamberlain, so I'm not going to throw him into a mix. I'm going to make it a little bit more tricky for you. Out of Ben Foster and Heredia Gomez, who was the better goalkeeper at their peak at Watford Football Club? And I say at their peak because Ben Foster obviously had a couple of spells at the club. So at his best performing, at his very best, Ben Foster versus a very good Heredia Gomez. Who would be the better goalkeeper for yourself?
Ben Foster, I think. Just in his peak, he was brilliant.
I think Gomez edges it slightly.
It's definitely an interesting one. I'd be quite intrigued to know what the people watching along think as well. But I think Foster was in his first loan spell with the club. And then when he come back, to be honest, as well, he was in sort of peak goalkeeping years, and some of the saves he made were unbelievable, and his all-round goalkeeping ability. As much as it pains me to say him, because I have lost a bit of respect for him now, and it's quite telling actually. I don't know if you knew, but it's his birthday today, and he reposted a lot of things on Instagram. And West Brom and Wrexham have wished him a happy birthday. I think Birmingham City have, but Watford haven't. So that probably tells you where they left their thoughts on each other. So yeah.
No, definitely. It's he's definitely burnt bridges at the football club.
Yeah.
Whereas Heredia Gomez hasn't, and he came back to a training ground a couple of weeks ago. I saw on the Instagram stories, which is good as well. And also about Heredia Gomez, he also helps, obviously, João Pedro settle into the country as well, being a fellow Brazilian. So he obviously took players under his arm as well, which goes on to show how much of a vital part of the football club that he played. Because you got to remember, he wasn't playing Premier League football for Watford then, but he still was a great servant by helping settle in young João Pedro from Brazil. So yeah, that's my shout. And then we've got one more member of the Voice of the Vic to give us their G, and this time it's Cam. So Mike, can you press that big button for the very last time this evening as Cam reveals his letter G?
Yes, here we go.
Who could I go with for the letter G other than the magic man himself, Gerard Deulofeu, a little Spanish wizard that we brought in initially on loan from Barcelona, and thankfully we managed to make that move permanent. I mean, his first season, it was before I started watching football, I don't believe he featured too much, but he obviously created an iconic memory with that goal in the 4-1 win against Chelsea. I wish I was at the Vic for that game because, I mean, that looks fantastic to me. But then it's next season where the real magic happens. Obviously, Javi Gracia and his very, very successful 18-19 season. God, it hurts to think about that now. But wow, what a time that was. And it was made largely by Gerard Deulofeu and some of the goals he scored. I mean, he started that season injured, as is a common theme with Gerard's career, but he came back. He scored a wonderful solo goal at home to Huddersfield. What else did he do that season? He scored a few other goals here and there. There was obviously a brilliant solo goal. I think it was at home to Cardiff. He scored a great solo goal in was it December 2023? 2023, what am I about? December 2018, I believe he scored a wonderful solo goal that game. And then, speaking of Cardiff, a few months later, a hat-trick against them in their own backyard in a 5-1 win. That's the best of Gerard Deulofeu. But then, you know, when you're talking about iconic Deulofeu memories, a couple months after that, FA Cup semi-final, we're 2-0 down to Wolves, and it looks like there's no hope. And he just, the ball falls to him, and he just chips it into that far right corner. And I mean, no one knows how he pulled that off. No one expected it to go in, least of all John Ruddy. But wow, what a comeback that sparked! And then he only went and got the winner. A big memory of mine from Gerard Deulofeu. We went to Huddersfield, I think a week after that semi-final, and he went and scored 2 goals. We were pretty drab that game, but he got 2 goals in a 2-1 win, and it looked like we were on our way to Europe after that one. Then you move on to next season, and we get off to a horrible start, don't we? And goes to Norwich away. I think it was October, November, sometime around then. Still haven't won a game yet, but up steps Deulofeu, who within 2 minutes of that game kicking off puts us 1-0 up with a really, really nice goal on his left foot. And yeah, that's another special memory of his from me. But yeah, I just think what could have been if he didn't get that injury at home to Liverpool, because I mean, although we won that game and it's one of our most iconic wins now, you get the feeling we'd be in a much better place if maybe we lost that game, but Deulofeu stayed fit, if you understand what I mean. So yeah, it was really gutting to lose him from there. And it's even more gutting, how his career's gone since. I mean, when he first joined Serie A, he was having a great time, and he was linked with, the likes of Napoli, going back to Barcelona, and now he's sort of in kind of an early retirement, just because he can't shake that knee injury, and it keeps coming back to bite him. So yeah, I really hope we do get to see him play football again, and ideally at the Vic, but I won't hang on to any hope of that happening. And yeah, just one of those players that seems loved at every club he's been at. I still see Everton, Milan, Barcelona fans, and of course Watford fans all replying to his media posts and asking for him to come back. So yeah, Gerard Deulofeu, fantastic player, and that is my selection for G.
I told you guys that it was going to be a strong one this week. 5 fantastic categories. Joe's gone for grassroots football. Mike's gone for Gianfranco Zola. Caity's gone for Javi Gracia. I've gone for Heredio Gomez. And Cam's gone for Gerard Deulofeu. Mike, what did you think of the Spanish magician that we got from Barcelona? Firstly, for Watford to sign a player from Barcelona was absolutely mental at the time.
Yeah, he's up there with Raymond I from Barcelona prospects. Gerard Deulofeu, what a player. He was one of those that you just have to thank God that you were on this earth when he was playing for your football team, because he could win you a game on his own. I mean, that Huddersfield game, that's where that picture that you've got on screen is from now. And that's the one that Cam was alluding to. That was the first ever game I took Cam to, like where it was just like me taking my little brother to a Watford game. I was so buzzing that that time had come around, and we went, and the weather was glorious, and we won that game, and we were up to 7th in the Premier League, and he was just phenomenal that game. And yeah, I mean, there's Cam's listed a load of memories of his, but yeah, he really was a special player, and it does make for good conversation as to if he didn't get that ACL injury against Liverpool, what would have happened to us, because it's like the old, we used to say it about Marlon King. If he didn't get injured in that season in 06-07, would we have stayed up? Would we have scored a lot more goals and therefore won more points? So, it's one of these that we'll never know the answer to, but it's worth pondering because they were that good. So yeah, Deulofeu, what a player, what a shout. And agree with what Melanie said there. The selections this week, I know the WhatsApp group have just casted their votes, but it's a really, really tough week this week in terms of who I'm going to pick, because everyone's have been superb.
You can go with superbs. I like superbs. But yeah, no, great category from Cam here. But yeah, Deulofeu contributing towards one of the best days supporting the football club. You got to think he didn't start the game in this FA Cup semi-final either. He was on the bench, and he came off the bench and had an instant impact. That goal, the first goal, the way the ball was just stopped dead, and then he just got the ball underneath it and curled it over John Roddy, and he just didn't move. But the finesse on it and the slottage into the back of the net was just superb. Like, you would never get bored of watching that on a loop. You could just watch that for 2-3 hours straight because it's so good. It's honestly, it's so good. And then even the second goal on the counter attack, fair play to Andre Gray here. And we don't normally put those words together, fair play to Andre Gray. But the pass that he put through to Deulofeu after a 1-2, and the strike to just get it slightly away from John Roddy. He's obviously, his body position was planted and he couldn't adjust himself, and it was such a good finish. And for us to come from behind 2-0 down in the FA Cup semi-final, to come back to go 3-2 up and go on to win, it's all down to this man here. Like, Javi probably told him, "You're not starting today. When you come onto a pitch, show me why you should have started." And he went on and he showed why he should have started, and what a performance. The best substitution appearance I think I've ever seen from a Watford player. And he's so talented. And like you say, Mike, what could have been if he didn't get injured against Liverpool and pick up that ACL and the COVID season? I strongly believe that if he didn't get injured, Watford would have stayed up. And then what kind of football club would we have been if we didn't get relegated that season? Because relegation and COVID really did start to put the nails in the coffin for Pozzo's tenure at Vicarage Road. And if only he didn't pick up that ACL, what would we have been watching now? You only have to look at the likes of, I don't know, Forest and Bournemouth and Villa to see the joy that they're getting under their football club. And it's crazy to think that one moment changed our season, because he was such a big player. Yes, he blew hot and cold sometimes. He went maybe missing sometimes. You could probably say the same for Roberto Pereira. When he was on it, he was on it. But when he went missing, it was like playing with 10 men sometimes. And I think you could maybe throw Deulofeu into it. But when he was on it, my God, he was a top player in the division. And Watford Football Club were very lucky to have a player of his calibre. And like I said at the start, to be signing a player from Barcelona and paying a transfer fee, a decent transfer fee for him as well, was absolutely outstanding. So yeah, fantastic pick there, Cam. Absolutely outstanding. So yeah, that's all our selections now. So now, in typical Voice of Vic fashion, we need to vote amongst ourselves on who we believe has won this week's topic for letter G. So I'll just go through them all once again. Joe has gone for Grassroots. Caity has gone for Javi Gracia. Mike has gone for Gianfranco Zola. Ben has gone for Herelia Gomez. And Cam has gone for Gerard Deulofeu. Mike's already mentioned it in the group chat. The votes have been casted from everyone else who couldn't attend tonight's podcast. So Caity has voted for Cam with Gerard Deulofeu. So Deulofeu goes 1-0 up. Joe then comes along and votes for Javi Gracia for Caity. So it's 1-1. Then Cameron selects Javi Gracia of Caity to go 2-1 up. So no votes for me and Mike, which is a bit unfair considering we're the only ones that have turned up tonight. And they've not heard our topics either, Mike. We've debated all of these. We've spoken about all of this, and it's this is unfair.
I think what doesn't help as well, and I think this will happen some weeks, is if you choose a certain player, Cam and Caity. I mean, Cam didn't support the club when Gianfranco Zola was in charge, and I don't know what Caity's stance was when Gianfranco Zola was in charge either. I know she would have been very young, so I think it works to our it works against us when we choose sort of older topics. So yeah, maybe need to rethink my strategy going forward.
We need to do something more relevant, don't we, that the kids know and understand. Okay, well, I'm going to have to come to you for your vote, Mike. So obviously, Cam's winning 2-1 over Caity at the moment. So Javi Gracia has got 2 votes, and then Caity's winning with Javi Gracia with 2, and Cam's got 1 with Gerard Deulofeu. Where's your vote heading to this week?
To be honest, it has been a very, very tough week to choose. But I think from the moment I heard it, I thought that's winning for me. So Joe gets my vote tonight. That Grassroots one was superb. Really, really well put together and rings so true. But honestly, it could have been anyone. Like, genuinely, could have been anyone. But yeah, well done, Joe. You get my vote, mate.
No, that's a very good shout there. So now it's Caity 2, Cam 1, Joe 1. Oh, I'm actually going to go for Joe's Grassroots.
Ooh. And well, now what? Because you're the host.
And that's purely because I think when you think of Watford Football Club, before the Pozzos, it was all about the academy and the youngsters coming through. And I think that's a massive part of our DNA. So Grassroots relates a lot to myself and hopefully a lot of people listening to this. Grassroots is a really strong topic. And I don't think that will matter with however old you are and however long you've been supporting Watford Football Club. Everyone can relate to Grassroots. So that's what my vote is. And Mike, you just mentioned saying, well, what now? You voted and it's a tie. It's 2-2. Well, at the start of the show, I say the host has the deciding vote. So as we stand, it's Caity 2, Joe 2, and Cam 1. And because I've voted for Joe, it's only right that I carry on and vote for Joe, which means Joe has won the Voices of Vic letter G for week 7, which will probably upset Caity and Cam. But we need to find a different way of voting, maybe. We did mention this in the group chat, but we haven't came up with a way. And when not everyone's on there, it makes it difficult. But this is the rules we came up with at the start, and this is what we've had to go with. So, Joe, congratulations! You were bottom of the table last week with 0, and now you're joint top with Mike on 2. Mike, what's your thoughts on this?
Cam pointed it out a few weeks ago. Well, I say a few weeks ago, it was when I bloody won, and he said, because he thought he should have won one of the weeks when I did, and he was like, we need a better way to decide who's going to win. But yeah, look, I voted for Joe, so I'm not too shocked. But yeah, it's I think it could get a bit messy in weeks to come, and yeah, I think strategies might be brought into play now. I should definitely be 4 up, but yeah, hey ho, I'm not. So I'm joint top now.
Yeah, and James is going down the route of award each person that's tied a point. We could do that, James, but I quite like upsetting some people in the group chat as well. So it's all going to go off. So that would probably be fair, but there can only be one winner in the A to Z, and today that's Joe's. So we'll end that conversation there. Melanie says, get VAR in. VAR. Or you know what? Next time, maybe if there's enough people in here, we'll let you guys decide. I think that will probably be the fairest vote. Let everyone in here decide. On Casey's not happy. She's just done a 4-letter word response. FUCK. She is fuming, and Joe's buzzing. Oh wow! Thank you guys. Don't worry, Joe. You can pay us later. But yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll do that going forward, Mike. If we carry on doing these live episodes, we'll get whoever's watching live to vote to make it fair, so they have the casting vote.
Yeah, well, it would have been even trickier because only one's voted, and it's Jess, and she said Cam, so it would have been 2-2-2. It would have been Caity 2, Cam 2, Joe 2. So. Yeah, but
well,
definitely.
We've got James from a Watford way here. We've got Melanie here as well. So if they voted, they could have. Yeah,
next time we do a live one, we'll definitely ask the viewers.
Okay, so if it's tied next time, everyone, and this maybe gets people to watch this live now. So maybe it will entice you into watching us live next week when we record letter H, so you can get involved. And if you don't like the tie, get involved. Put your choice in the comments, and you can be the 6th member of a Voice of a Vic to help us decide who's going to win. Because yeah, it's getting a bit political at the moment, and we need help from VAR. Melanie says that Grassroots would have got her vote as well. So yeah, there we have it. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for everyone who's getting involved. But it's not going to end there. Just before we wrap it up, like I have done in the last 3 or 4 episodes, I have ended on a quiz. Mike, you're the only one who's going to be participating in this because you're the only one who's joined me tonight. So welcome to my quiz show. How are you, Mike?
Nervous. I don't know what's coming. If it's
How old
anything
are you,
like
Mike?
Carl
Where are you
versus the
from?
rest of the world, I'm screwed.
Well, I did much better at that than you. So yeah, I'm gonna have a bragging rights over that one. But yeah, like I said, you're going to be the only one doing this, representing the voices of Vic, Mike. So if you could kindly come off the comment section in case if anyone gets involved in this, I'm going to trust you, Mike.
You have my word. I am off the comment section.
Fantastic. James from Watford already says that Mike's a prick. No, I'm joking. He says it's already better than Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and the 1% Club is good. I love the 1% Club. What a good game show. You know what I really like? Would I Lie to You? I absolutely love that. That's one of my favourite quizzes and game shows. So that's up there for me. But anyway, this isn't about everyone else's quiz. This is about my quiz, the Watford A to Z quiz. So, Mike, G is for grounds, and I want you to name me the 5 biggest stadiums in the Championship.
Okay. We'll go Leeds United.
Is third on the list. They have a capacity of 37,890.
We'll go Hillsborough.
Are second on the list with a capacity of 39,732.
We will go.
It's a good thing you're not
Ooh.
looking in the comments because James got involved. Jess says she's getting involved. There's some good shouts already.
I can see where it says comments, there's 3. So I'm dying to click on it to help me out a bit there, but I'm not going to.
So 3 more for Mike.
Do you know? So I've gone Hillsborough and I've gone Ellen Road. Oh, Sunderland, Stadium of Light. That's got to be number 1.
That is number 1. Stadium Light is the biggest stadium in the Championship with a capacity of 48,707.
I've got
which is 9,000 more than Hillsborough. Wow.
Oh, wow. I've got number 3. How many did you say number 3 was?
Number 3 was Leeds United. Eden Road was 37,890. So you're looking for the 4th and 5th biggest stadiums in the Championship.
See, Sheffield United just doesn't feel that big. I'm going to kick myself here. Potentially look a bit stupid. Is Pride Park on there?
It's not as stupid as Jess. She's just said Southampton, who are a Premier League side, Jess. You're bottom of the list. Pride Park, Derby is the 5th biggest stadium in the Championship. Woo! How did you pluck that out? They got a capacity of 33,597. So you're looking for one more.
Okay, so the Riverside Stadium.
Fuck off. How did you do that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I'm just thinking of
on the list with a capacity
I've been to a lot of stadiums.
746 seats. Absolutely outstanding there, Mike. You could not write that. That's incredible. How do you do that?
I don't know. I've been quite lucky over the years. I've been to a lot of stadiums, and I mean Hillsborough probably should have been the one that jumped out at me first, but Sheffield United's just it doesn't seem a massive ground, and the Riverside I've not actually done that one, but you can tell that's a big ground. Derby again, quite a big ground, but that one was more a lucky guess. I knew there was a lot of seats, and I knew it's quite big, but yeah, I'm quite proud of myself for that actually.
I need to find some tougher quizzes because last week, I don't know if you listened to it, Joe, I did a higher and lower game of the Watford managers in charge of how many days in charge they were. And Joe got every single one right. Now you've smashed this out of the park, and I thought it was going to be tricky. So just going down the list as well. So 6th on the list was Cardiff City with 33,280. Then 7th was Sheffield United, Bramall Lane, 32,702. And 8th on the list was Coventry City, 32,609. And Watford are actually got the 5th biggest stadium in the Championship with a capacity of 23,700. But yeah, fantastic effort there, Mike. I really respect that. That's outstanding. I'm going to have to get back to the drawing board and try and find a tougher quiz for next week for letter H. But yeah, hope you've all enjoyed that. What did you make of that one, Mike?
Yeah, really, really strong week. I feel like I say that every week, but genuinely, that was very, very good. I know a lot of people will watch this and put in the comments, why didn't anyone choose Graham Taylor? I think for me, it would have been too much of an ask to sit and talk about his time in a short space of time. yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it anywhere near as enough justice. So yeah, but obviously he would have won hands down, and I think he will win. We'll get a lot of comments about it, but yeah. But yeah, really enjoyed it, and looking forward to the next one. And let's hope the next live podcast as well is talking about a win away at Bristol City.
Let's hope so. And I think it's been a success tonight doing a live podcast as well to get everyone involved in the comments as well. Obviously, we don't read out all the comments when we're doing this one as well, but we do appreciate everyone getting involved as well and watching tonight as we stream this live. We were doing a thing where we was recording a couple at a time and having them stacked up, but couldn't really be asked to do it last week, so then we thought, I've got to do a live one tonight. So but it's
well, you
worked
weren't
perfectly.
well, to be fair, so cut yourself a bit of slack, mate.
Equally, I couldn't be asked because I wasn't well, but yeah, really enjoyed this tonight. So thank you everyone for watching as always. And yeah, this is something that we really believe in and we really want everyone to get behind. So please do leave it a like and a comment on YouTube, and maybe it will get some more interactions and more views as well. Because yeah, we do put a lot of work into this where we're trying to pick up topics and then putting quizzes together. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching and supporting this. It does mean the absolute well to us. And look, we're only week 7. There's 26 weeks in total, so we've got a long way to go. So yeah, watch this space. Next week is letter H, so let's see what we're going to do for that one. Bit more of a difficult week, I think. Next week G was good and successful, and it was definitely successful for Joe for winning grassroots with his topics. So yeah, we'll be back next week for letter G, so we'll see you all then. So take care everyone, and come on, you Orns.